My dear child, I know you almost did not stop here today. Something in you almost kept scrolling, almost moved on to something easier. Something that did not ask you to feel quite so much. But you stopped, and I need you to know that was not an accident. Loretta, last night, you stood in front of the open refrigerator at 9:47 in the evening. The light from inside fell across your face. You stood there for a long time. Not hungry, not thirsty, just standing. Looking at the shelves without really seeing any of it. And somewhere in that quiet kitchen, in that house, that used to have so much sound in it, you realized you could not remember why you had walked in there in the first place. You closed the door. You stood in the dark for a moment, and then you walked back to the living room and sat down in the chair by the window. The same chair you have sat in for 30 years. The one Eugene always said was too close to the draft. You used to argue about that window, about whether the cold air coming through the old frame was real or just something you imagined. Small arguments, the kind that are not really about the window at all, the kind that mean we are here, we are alive, we are paying attention to each other's comfort. There are no more arguments about the window now. The house holds a different kind of quiet these days. I was there last night, Loretta, standing right beside you in that kitchen. You did not see me, but I saw you, and I have been seeing you every single night for 3 years now. Every night you set one plate instead of two. Every morning you make enough coffee for a pot and then stand there looking at it, because the habit of making enough for both of you is still in your hands even when your mind has remembered. I see all of it, every bit of it, and today I need you to hear me. Not the way you have been half listening for 3 years, sitting in the third pew on the left at Aldous Whitmore's church, moving your lips to the hymns, nodding at the right moments, doing everything a person does when they are present without being present at all. I mean, really hear me, because what I have to say to you today is not a sermon. It is not a lesson. It is not something I want you to take notes on or think about theologically or discuss with anyone afterward. It is a conversation between me and you. And it starts here. You were not always a woman who stood in dark kitchens not knowing why she had walked in. 32 years as a nurse will tell you something about a person, not just their skill or their patience or their ability to stay calm when everything around them is falling apart. Hospitals tells you what a person is made of at the center, and what you are made of, Loretta, is something I have watched with more pride than you will ever fully understand on this side of eternity. You held the hands of people who were dying alone. You sat at bedsides at 2 in the morning when the family had not arrived yet and the patient was afraid. You told people the truth when the truth was hard and held them through the moment after the truth landed. You worked Christmas Eve shifts so that younger nurses could be home with their children, and you drove home in the dark singing to yourself because that was just who you were. A person who found a way to make something small and bright out of the hardest moments. You were the one people called, not the one who called, not the one who said, "I need someone right now. I am not doing well. I do not know how to carry this." You were always the one on the other end of that call, and for a long time, for most of your life. If we are being honest, you believed that was your purpose. That being the strong one, the capable one, the one who shows up for everyone else, was the truest expression of who God made you to be. I am going to ask you to sit with something today. What if that was only half the truth? Eugene knew this about you. He knew it the way only a man who has slept beside the same woman for 41 years can know something, not from what she says, but from the shape of the silence she keeps. He watched you for 4 decades. He watched you deflect compliments and downplay your own exhaustion. and changed the subject when anyone tried to ask how you were really doing. He watched you walk into difficult rooms with your chin up and your hands steady and your face arranged into exactly the expression that said, "I have this under control." He loved you for it, and it also broke his heart a little. Not in the way that destroys things, in the way that grief breaks your heart when you love someone enough to wish something different for them. He wished, quietly, for all those years, that you would let someone carry something for you. Just once, just a little. He never quite found the words to say it while he was here, but he found them at the end. And you know that. You have known it for 3 years, because it is sitting in a white envelope in the drawer of your nightstand, with your name written on the front in handwriting that shook a little because his hands were already weak by then. But he made every letter clear because he wanted you to be able to read it. You have not opened it. I know why. And we are going to talk about that. But first, I want to talk about what happened to your faith, because this is the thing you have not said out loud to anyone. Not to your children when they call on Sunday, not to Aldous Whitmore when he shakes your hand after the service and asks how you are getting on, not to the women in the Tuesday morning Bible study who bring casseroles and mean well, and say things like God needed another angel and time heals all things and Eugene is in a better place now. You smile at those things. You nod. You say, "Thank you, I believe that." But you stopped believing it somewhere in the middle of those 14 months. Here is the thing about being a nurse that no one outside medicine fully understands. You know what the body does when it is dying. You know it not as an abstraction or a mystery or something that happens in some other realm you cannot see. You know it as a sequence, a process, a series of changes that follow each other in a particular order that medicine has mapped and documented and can predict with uncomfortable accuracy. When Eugene was diagnosed, you knew. Not hoped for the best, not waited to see. You knew from the first scan, from the first conversation with his oncologist, from the moment you saw the location and the stage and the spread. You knew what the next 14 months were going to look like. You knew the shape of what was coming, the way a person knows the layout of a house they have walked through hundreds of times. And you prayed anyway, every night, on your knees beside the bed. Not because you did not understand the medicine, not because you thought faith would override what you knew about stage 4 pancreatic cancer. You prayed because you loved him more than you loved your own certainty, and because somewhere underneath the clinical knowledge, underneath the 32 years of training, there was still a part of you that wanted to be wrong. That part whispered to you while the rest of you prayed. It said, "Who are you to ask for a miracle?" It said you know exactly what is happening inside his body right now. It said, "What kind of faith is this that comes with so many footnotes?" And you kept praying. Through every whisper, through every scan result that confirmed what you already knew, through every morning you woke up and went into his room with your face arranged into that expression and sat with him and talked about ordinary things, the bird at the feeder outside the window, the neighbor's new dog, whether the peaches were going to be any good this summer. You prayed with doubt laced through every word like thread through fabric. And I need to tell you something about that. That kind of prayer. The kind that keeps going even when the person praying is not sure anyone is listening. Even when the person praying knows the biology and is praying against it anyway. Even when the person praying is exhausted and scared and holding it all together on the outside, while quietly coming apart on the inside, that kind of prayer is not weak faith. Loretta, that is the most honest faith I have ever seen. You did not pray because it was easy. You prayed because you could not stop. Because something in you, something underneath the doubt, underneath the training, underneath the 32 years of knowing how bodies work, something in you still reached toward me even when you were not sure I was reaching back. I was. I want you to understand that. I was reaching back every single time. The silence, you have been living in the silence that settled over your life after the funeral. After the casseroles stopped coming, after your children went back to their own lives and the house went quiet in a way that had weight to it, that silence was not me withdrawing. That was not punishment. That was not me turning away, because your faith had too many doubts threaded through it. That silence was the sound of a door I was waiting for, the right moment to open, and the right moment is now. I need to stay with you here for a moment longer, though, because there is something else you have not said out loud. Something smaller than the loss of Eugene, or at least it seems smaller on the outside. Something you have tucked away so carefully that you have almost convinced yourself it is not there. You miss yourself, not Eugene, not the life you had before. You miss the Loretta who existed before she spent 14 months watching the man she loved for 41 years leave in increments. You miss the woman who used to sing in the kitchen not to comfort herself in an empty house, but because the kitchen had someone else in it and the singing was just the sound of being happy in an ordinary way. You do not know who you are without the roles that have defined you: nurse, wife, caregiver, the strong one, the one who shows up. Retirement took the first. The funeral took the second. The 14 months of caregiving poured the last of your reserves into something that is now over. And you have been standing on the other side of it for 3 years, wondering what you are supposed to do with yourself now. This is not a small thing. This is one of the quietest and most devastating losses. A person can experience the loss of a sense of self that was built entirely on being needed. And the world does not have good language for it. The world has language for grief and illness and loneliness and aging, but it does not quite have words for the specific way a person can feel hollowed out when every role they built their identity around has changed or ended. I have words for it. What I see when I look at you is not a woman whose purpose is behind her. I see a woman who built so much of her life around giving that she never learned to receive. And I see the moment right now. This moment when that is about to change. Not because everything is going to be easy from here. Not because the house is going to stop being quiet, but because you are about to remember something you forgot, something Eugene tried to remind you of in the last days of his life, with hands that shook so much he had to write slowly and carefully, just to get the letters right. That envelope has been waiting for 3 years, Loretta, and so have I. There is something I want to tell you about the person you have become. Not the person you were before Eugene got sick. Not the nurse, not the wife, not the woman who could hold an entire room together with nothing but her steadiness and the quiet authority of someone who had seen worse and survived it. I want to talk about the person you are right now. The one who gets up every morning at 6:15 because 40 years of early shifts made your body forget how to sleep past dawn. The one who makes the bed with the same care you always did, pulling the top sheet tight on both sides, smoothing out every wrinkle, even though there is only one side being slept in now. The one who drives to church on Sunday and sits in the third pew on the left and moves her lips to words she has not fully believed in 3 years. That person. I want to talk about her, because here is what I see that you do not. I see someone who has been carrying something so heavy for so long that she has forgotten what it felt like before she picked it up. And the terrible thing about weight like that is not the weight itself. It is the way a person adjusts to it, the way the body compensates, the way a person starts to walk differently, breathe differently, hold themselves differently, and eventually cannot remember what it was like to stand without the burden, because the burden has become so much a part of how they move through the world. You have been walking like that for 3 years, Loretta, maybe longer. And today I want to start setting some of it down. Not all at once. That is not how this works. but piece by piece, starting with the thing you have been carrying the longest, the thing that predates Eugene's illness, the thing that was already part of you when you first walked into that hospital as a young woman of 24 with your nursing license, still feeling new in your hands and your whole life arranged in front of you, like a road you could not wait to walk. You were taught somewhere very early that love is something you earn. Nobody sat you down and said those words. Nobody made that lesson explicit. It came through smaller things, the way approval felt like weather in your childhood home, sometimes warm and present, sometimes withdrawn without explanation, and you learned to read the signs the way farm children learn to read the sky. You learned to anticipate what was needed before it was asked for. You learned to make yourself useful. You learned that the surest way to keep love close was to make sure the people around you always needed something that you could provide. This is not an accusation. The people who shaped you were doing what they knew how to do with what they had been given. They were working from their own wounds, their own inherited ways of loving imperfectly, their own unspoken rules about what a person has to do to deserve a place at the table. But the lesson took root, and it grew. And by the time you were a young nurse, by the time you were a wife and a mother and a neighbor and a woman who could be counted on for absolutely anything, by absolutely anyone, the lesson had become invisible to you. It was no longer something you thought about. It was simply who you were. You were the one who gave. That was as natural to you as breathing and just as unconscious. Eugene saw it. He saw it from the beginning. There was something he noticed about you when you were still young, not just your capability, not just your strength, but the way you sometimes looked when you did not know anyone was watching. A kind of wistfulness, a kind of tiredness underneath the energy. Like a woman who had been running at full speed for so long that she had forgotten she was allowed to stop. He loved you completely. You need to know that. There was nothing incomplete about how Eugene Sutherland loved his wife. But love is not the same as being able to reach every part of a person. And there was a part of you that he spent 41 years trying to reach. A part that kept receding just as he got close. Not because you did not trust him, but because you had been protecting that part of yourself for so long that the protection had become automatic. Involuntary, a reflex as deep as the one that pulls your hand back from fire. He told your son, about 3 months before the end, when they were sitting together on the back porch one evening while you were inside. He said, "Your mother has never let me take care of her." Not really. I tried. She always found a way to turn it around, to make it about what I needed instead. I used to take it personally. Now, I just think she does not know how. And I worry about what happens to her when I am not here to keep trying. Your son never told you this. He told you 6 months after the funeral, in passing in the middle of a longer conversation about something else entirely. And you heard it, and you held very still, and you changed the subject, but it has been in you ever since. You know it is true. The truth of it settled into your chest like something that had finally found the shape it was looking for. And I want to go a little further into it today, because I want you to understand something about those 14 months. About the particular way you loved Eugene through his illness. About the thing you gave him that was enormous, and the thing you could not give him that he wanted more. What you did for him in those 14 months. The precision of your care, the consistency of your presence, the way you managed his pain and his medications and his appointments and his fear, not as a nurse, but as his wife who happened to have a nurse's knowledge, was an act of devotion that I watched with something close to reverence. But there is something Eugene said to your son on that porch that I want you to hear now. He said, "I just wanted to see her scared. Not because I wanted her to suffer, because I needed to know she needed me too. Even now, even like this. You never let him see it. Not once in 14 months. Every morning you walked into his room with your chin up and your hands steady and your face arranged into that expression you have worn your whole professional life. The one that says, I am here, I am capable, I have this under control. You gave him everything a person could give in terms of care. You gave him clean sheets and measured medication and soft food when swallowing got hard, and the particular kind of patient attention that only someone with your training could provide. But you did not let him see you come apart. You did not let him be strong for you, even once. And he went to his end without that. I am not telling you this to wound you. I am telling you this because the guilt of it has been one of the heaviest pieces of what you have been carrying. And you have not said it out loud to anyone, and things that stay unspoken in the dark tend to grow larger than they actually are. Here is the truth about it. You showed up in the fullest way your particular history had equipped you to show up. And yes, there is a piece of grief in recognizing that a different version of that love might have given him something he wanted. But grief is not the same as guilt. And I need you to lay the guilt down, because it is not yours to carry. 6 weeks ago, Loretta, Sunday morning, you sat in the third pew and Aldous Whitmore was preaching from the book of John, and somewhere in the middle of the sermon he stopped. Just stopped, mid-sentence, and he looked out at the congregation and he said something that was not in his notes. You could tell it was not in his notes because of the way he paused before he said it, the way a man pauses when he is listening to something before he speaks. He said, if there is someone here today who has been pretending, who has been going through the motions of faith without the feeling of it, God is not angry with you. He is just waiting for you to stop pretending. And then he went right back to John, like it had not happened. You sat very still. You felt the words land somewhere specific, not in your mind, lower than that, in the place where you keep the things you do not say, and on the steps of the church afterward when Aldous shook your hand and asked how you were getting on. You said, fine, Aldous. I am doing fine. And he nodded and smiled and moved on to the next person. He did not know what he had said to you. He had probably already forgotten he had deviated from his sermon at all. But I had not forgotten, because I was the one who interrupted him, not with a voice he heard, not in any way he would have been able to explain if you asked him about it afterward. But I have been trying to reach you for 3 years, Loretta. And I know the channels that are open to you and the ones that have been closed. And that morning, the channel that was open was a 74-year-old man who has known you for 11 years and stood at Eugene's graveside and held your hand while they lowered the casket. I used it. I know you felt something on those steps. I know because I watched it move across your face in the half-second before you put the expression back on. A flash of something. Like a door opening just a little, and then being pushed shut again from the inside. That is what I want to talk about. That reflex. The one that closes you before you can be reached. You have had it so long you do not notice it anymore. It is as automatic as the other reflexes, the clinical ones, the ones that made you an excellent nurse. But this one was not built in a hospital. It was built much earlier. And it has kept you safe in a particular way. The way a locked room is safe, nothing can get in to hurt you, but nothing can get in at all. I need that door to open, Loretta, not because I need anything from you. I am not asking you to perform your faith or clean yourself up or get your doubts in order before you come back to me. I am not standing at the end of a long corridor of requirements waiting for you to walk through all of them before you deserve my attention. I am standing at the door you have been keeping locked, knocking. I have been knocking for 3 years. And then 3 weeks ago, something shifted. You did not plan it. You did not decide anything. You drove to the pharmacy on a Tuesday afternoon to pick up your blood pressure medication, and there was a line. And you stood in it, and the woman next to you looked at the shelf in front of her and said something so ordinary that you almost did not register it. She said, "I never know which one of these to get anymore. My husband always used to pick." She was not talking to you particularly. She was half talking to herself. The way people do when they are alone so much that the boundary between internal and external thought starts to soften. But you heard it, and something in you recognized it, the way you recognize a piece of music you have not heard in years, not by thinking about it, not by identifying it consciously, but in your body, in your chest, in that involuntary response. That means something has touched something real. You turned to her. Her name was Delia Fontaine, 65 years old. She had lost her husband 18 months ago. She had driven herself to the pharmacy that afternoon because there was no one to drive her, and she had been driving herself everywhere for 18 months. And she was tired in the way you are. Tired, not in her body, but in the part of a person that has been running on its own without a co-pilot for too long. You stood in that pharmacy for 45 minutes. The line moved. You both collected your prescriptions. You kept talking. You said things to Delia Fontaine that you have not said to your children. Not because you love your children less than a stranger you met in a pharmacy line, but because the children carry grief of their own about their father, and you have been so careful not to add to it, so careful not to need anything from them that might make their grief harder. So careful, always to be the one who holds things steady. Delia had no such weight attached to her. You could just talk, and you did. Delia told you that she still sets 2 cups out every morning before she remembers, and you told her that you still sleep on your side of the bed. And Delia laughed a little, not unkindly, and said she had not been able to sleep on her husband's side either, and that she had read somewhere that this was common. And somehow knowing it was common helped more than any condolence she had received in 18 months. You exchanged numbers in the parking lot. You have talked twice this week. I want you to understand something about Delia Fontaine. She did not appear in that pharmacy by accident. I know how that sounds. I know the part of you that is practical and trained in the sciences wants to file that statement under things people say to make hard things feel meaningful. I know you have heard a version of it before, usually from well-meaning people who say everything happens for a reason in a tone that makes you want to ask them to be more specific. I am being specific. Delia has been praying for a friend. Not in formal language, not on her knees before bed. In the way a very lonely person prays, which is the way a very lonely person breathes constantly. Without thinking about it, just a continuous low frequency reaching towards something outside themselves, because the alternative is too dark to sit in for long. She was praying for someone who would understand without needing things explained, and you were praying for permission to stop being strong for 5 minutes. I answered both of those prayers with one Tuesday afternoon in a pharmacy line. This is what I do, Loretta. This is the part of my work that never appears in the things people write about miracles, because it does not look like a miracle from the outside. It looks like coincidence. It looks like 2 women happening to stand next to each other. It looks like ordinary life arranging itself in ordinary ways. But you felt it in the parking lot, walking to your car after you said goodbye to Delia and turned back to look at her once before you got in. You felt something that you have not felt in 3 years. Not happiness, not relief, something quieter than both of those. Something that felt like the very beginning of not being alone. I put that there, and there is more coming. But first, Loretta, Before we go any further, before I tell you what is waiting for you on the other side of this season, there is an envelope in the drawer of your nightstand. And tonight, when you go home, I need you to open it. You went home. I watched you drive those 12 miles back from wherever the day had taken you, through the familiar turns, past the church, past the feed store, past the old Hendricks place with the oak tree in the front yard that lost a big limb in the ice storm 2 winters ago and never quite looked the same afterward. You drove the way you always drive now, both hands on the wheel, eyes forward, the radio off. You used to keep the radio on. Eugene liked the radio. You pulled into the driveway and sat in the car for a moment before you got out. Not long, just a moment. The kind of pause that does not look like anything from the outside, but has everything happening on the inside. Then you got out, walked up the 3 porch steps, unlocked the front door with the key you have carried on the same keychain for 22 years, the one with the small brass letter L that Eugene gave you the Christmas before your youngest was born, because he said you were always losing your keys and he wanted you to be able to find them in your purse by feel. You still find them by feel. You walked through the house without turning on many lights. Just the lamp in the hallway, just enough to see by. You did not go to the kitchen. You did not sit in the chair by the window. You walked straight down the hall to the bedroom, and you stood in the doorway for a moment. And you looked at the nightstand on Eugene's side. You have not opened that drawer in 3 years. Not to take anything out, not to put anything in. You have cleaned around it, dusted the top of it. Kept his reading glasses there because moving them felt like too permanent a decision. The drawer itself has stayed exactly as it was the morning after he died. When you found the envelope on the bed and picked it up and stood there holding it, and then without fully deciding to open the drawer and placed it inside and slid it shut. You told yourself you would open it when you were ready. 3 years passed and ready never came. Until tonight, you crossed the room. You sat on the edge of the bed, not your side. His side. You have not sat there since he was in it. The mattress feels different there, holds a different shape. Though after 3 years, that is probably more memory than reality. The body filling in what the mind insists should still be true. You opened the drawer. The envelope was right there. Of course it was. Where else would it be? White envelope, slightly yellowed at the edges now from 3 years in a drawer. Your name on the front in Eugene's handwriting. Loretta. 1 word. He always called you Loretta when he was being serious. Most of the time he called you other things. Smaller names, the names that belong only to people who have slept beside each other for decades and know the sound of each other's breathing in the dark. But on the envelope, he wrote Loretta because he was being serious. You held it in both hands, just held it. Felt the weight of it, which is almost nothing, a single sheet of paper, but which has felt for 3 years like something you could not lift. You turned it over. The flap was tucked in, not sealed. He had not had the strength to seal it. He had tucked the flap and trusted it to stay. It stayed. You opened it. Inside, 1 piece of paper, folded once. You unfolded it carefully, the way you handle things that matter, the way you used to unfold the children's drawings when they were small, and brought them home from school, with a particular attention that says, I know this is important even before I know what it says. 3 lines, his handwriting, the letters large and slightly uneven, because his hands shook by then, and he was fighting the tremor with every stroke, making each letter deliberate, making sure you would be able to read it. You could see the effort in every line, could see the places where he pressed harder to keep the pen steady. could see Eugene in every uneven, careful, determined letter. 3 lines. Loretta, stop taking care of everyone. Stop taking care of everything. And let him take care of you. You read it once. You read it again. And then, Loretta, something happened that has not happened to you in 3 years. Not at the funeral. Not in the weeks after. Not in the long, quiet nights that followed. Not in any of the places where grief is supposed to catch a person and finally let them fall apart. It happened now, in the bedroom. On Eugene's side of the bed, holding a piece of paper with 3 lines on it written by a man whose hands were shaking. You cried. Not the controlled kind. Not the kind you permitted yourself in the shower those first few months. The kind that had a beginning and a middle and an end that you managed, that you gave yourself 5 minutes for, and then turned off because there were things to do. Not that kind. The other kind. The kind that comes from somewhere deeper than decision. The kind that has been waiting behind a door that just opened. The kind that sounds different, that comes from a different place in the chest, that brings with it everything that has been stored there for 3 years. The grief and the exhaustion and the guilt about the 14 months and the loneliness of the house and the loss of yourself and the loss of him and the loss of the version of you that existed when he was still here to see her. All of it. At once. I was there. I want you to know that. I was right there. In that room. In that specific moment. Closer to you than I have been able to get in 3 years. Because the door was finally open, and I came straight through it. I held you, Loretta, not in any way you could have pointed to or described to someone else afterward. Not in a way that would have shown up as anything visible, but in the way that a presence can hold a person without being seen. In the way that a room can feel inhabited even when it appears empty. In the way you sometimes know, without any evidence, that would satisfy a scientist, that you are not alone. You were not alone. You have never been alone. I know you stopped feeling me. I know the silence after Eugene died felt like more than just his absence. It felt like everything had gone quiet at once, including me. And I need to tell you the truth about that silence. The full truth. Not the version that is easy to say or simple to receive. The silence was real, but it was not mine. What happened after Eugene died was that you went somewhere very deep inside yourself, not consciously, not by choice. The way any living thing goes inward when the conditions become too harsh. The way trees pull their energy down into their roots in winter because the surface is no longer safe for growth. You went inward. You closed the surface. You kept the lights on and the face arranged and the routines running. But the deep interior of you, the place where connection lives, the place where I meet you, that place went very quiet and very guarded. And I kept reaching. I kept knocking. The way I told you before. Through Aldous Whitmore stopping mid-sermon to say something that was not in his notes. Through the particular ache of a Tuesday afternoon in a pharmacy line when Delia said she never knows which one to get anymore, and something in you cracked just slightly. Through this moment, right now, your name on an envelope, 3 lines in shaking handwriting, a door finally opened. I was always reaching. I never stopped. And I need you to understand something about what Eugene wrote, because you have been reading it as instruction, as a task. Stop taking care of everyone. Stop taking care of everything. Let him take care of you. And you are already, I know, already in your mind trying to figure out how to do that correctly. Already trying to execute it well. Already thinking about what it would look like to let go, and whether you are capable of doing it, and what the proper method is, and how you would know if you were succeeding. That is who you are. Loretta, That is how your mind works. It is not a flaw. It is the thing that made you an extraordinary nurse and a devoted wife and the person everyone called. It is also the thing that has kept a certain door in you locked for a very long time. Eugene was not giving you an assignment. He was giving you permission. That is the difference. That is everything. He was not telling you to add another item to the list of things you manage well. He was telling you that you were allowed to stop managing, that the managing was never the point, that in 41 years of watching you manage everything with both hands and steady eyes, and that expression that said, "I have this under control." What he had wanted more than anything, what he had ached for in the quiet parts of himself, was for you to put it down. Not because you were failing at anything, because you deserved to rest, because being loved is not the same as being useful. And he had loved you, not the useful version of you, not the capable version, not the nurse and the caregiver and the strong one. He had loved the version that existed underneath all of those, the one he caught glimpses of sometimes in unguarded moments, the one that appeared briefly when she was reading something that moved her, or watching something beautiful out the kitchen window, or in the half-awake space just before sleep, when the performance of the day finally went quiet. He loved that one. He wrote the letter for her, and now I want to speak to her directly. You, the one underneath, the one who has been managing everything for so long she forgot she was doing it. The one who is sitting on Eugene's side of the bed right now with a piece of paper in her hands and her eyes finally open. The one who has been so busy being strong for everyone else that she never noticed how much strength it was taking just to stay upright. The one who told God 3 years ago, quietly, without exactly meaning to, that she was no longer sure she trusted him, and has been going through the motions ever since with the competence that comes naturally to a woman who goes through every motion competently. I am not angry. I want to say that plainly. I want to put that to rest entirely and permanently. The 3 years of distance, the moving lips in church, the fine Aldous. I am doing fine on the steps. The doubt that threaded through every prayer in those 14 months and made you feel like you were a fraud for praying at all. None of that made me angry. None of it pushed me away. None of it changed anything about how I see you or what I have prepared for you or how fiercely and completely and specifically you are loved. I see you, Loretta. Not the nurse, not the widow, not the woman who always shows up. I see the woman sitting on her late husband's side of the bed for the first time in 3 years, holding 3 lines of shaking handwriting, crying the kind of tears that have been waiting 3 years for permission. I am so proud of you. I am proud of you because you opened the drawer. Tonight is not the end of the grief. I would not insult you by suggesting that 3 lines of shaking handwriting and a good cry on Eugene's side of the bed resolves 3 years of loss and a lifetime of not knowing how to receive love. That is not how this works. That is not how any of this works. But tonight is something. Tonight is a door, and I am on the other side of it. I have always been on the other side of it, waiting. Not impatiently. I do not wait impatiently, but with the particular quality of attention that belongs to someone who knows exactly how this story ends and is not worried, and is simply here, fully here for every moment of the in-between. You are not too far gone. You were never too far gone. There is no version of Loretta May Sutherland that is beyond the reach of what I have for her. Not the one who stopped believing her own prayers. Not the one who kept the mask on through 14 months of watching someone she loved leave by degrees. Not the one who stood in a dark kitchen at 9:47. not knowing why she walked in, not the one who has been going through the motions in a third pew on the left for 3 years. I came for all of those versions. I am here for the one sitting on the bed right now, and I am going to say the thing I came here to say. The thing that was always the center of everything else, the reason for all of it. The sentence I have been building toward since the moment this began. I am so proud of you, Loretta. Not because of the 32 years of nursing, not because of the 14 months of caregiving, not because you held it together when everything in you wanted to fall apart, not because you kept going when keeping going cost you more than anyone around you knew. I am proud of you because you are here, right now, on this side of all of that, still here. That is not a small thing, that is everything. Eugene knew who he married. He knew exactly who he was getting when he married you. The strength and the stubbornness and the competence and the locked door and all of it. He loved the whole inventory of you, and in the last of his strength, with hands that shook and a pen he had to grip hard just to keep steady, he wrote you 3 lines. Not because you needed to be fixed, because he wanted you to finally be free. Because you are enough. You have always been enough. Not because of anything you did or provided or managed or held together. Because of who you are, the underneath one, the real one. She is who I made. She is who I love. And she is, finally, beginning to come home.